Today on Mosh Pit Garage, I'm going to section a rear bumper even though I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I have the lights off in the shop because I'm setting up the laser level. If you look, it's a little hard to see on the video, so I'm going to get close here. There's my laser marks. This is the center line of the car. And then you can see this one is set, the horizontal line is set right at the edge of the bumper. So this is telling me a couple of things. One, that the car looks level. So I can use this as a good reference. You know, the laser is right on the edge of the bumper all the way across. That looks good. And then I can look over here and see that this distance from here to, well, let's just use this as a reference right here, is the same as this distance over here. So that looks good as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bumper fascia down here, put it up on the car, and then use the laser level to mark the line where I'm going to be cutting the bumper. Because I have raised the tail section of the car up considerably, I'm doing this for aerodynamic reasons, this section right here was actually much lower. It was a pocket that came with the car originally, storing tools, whatever, things like that. And it looked very similar to this one. This is the well where the battery goes stock, and I actually have the battery inside of here right now. The normal OEM bumper comes way down here like this, and it's basically a giant parachute for any air that's coming underneath the car. A lot of people that race Miatas, except for the spec Miata guys, of course, who can't do mods like this, will cut the lower section off of the bumper to get rid of that scoop or drill holes in it or things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bumper and do what the custom builder guys might call a section or a chop. I'm going to trim a large section out of it like this, and then move this lower section up and join it to the upper section, and then bond the whole thing together, sand it down on the surface, and then paint it. Okay, I've got the lights off again so we can see the laser. So I've got the bumper cover up in place. What's important is that everything is lined up. So this is the pocket where the rear tail light goes, and you can see that this edge right there is in the right place. I've got it held down with the factory screws there and there. And then this edge is also lined up. Here's my laser line where the top of the bumper is at. So I can shift this down because I want to cut it in this area right here, because this surface here is going to be a closer match to this surface down here. So when I cut this and move it up. Now, something I didn't show is that I sectioned the bumper and made it smaller by cutting it down. So that'll let me bring this up farther, quite a bit farther. Took a good inch off of that bumper. So here's something interesting to look at. This is the bumper. This is the chassis. If you look down here inside of this pocket, right there, you can see that there's a piece of this rear bumper cover that comes out and sits on top of the bumper as a locator. I like that, it's handy. Okay, so now I've got the tape line marked off where I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut above the line. Death wheel. here we go, it's cut. So, this is the bumper underneath. I talked earlier about sectioning the bumper. This is the part I removed right here. The bumpers on these Miatas are basically extruded aluminum bumpers, very light. And basically, I just cut it off right there to shorten it. And you can see that where I cut it, lands it right even with this tail section, this pocket that I cut up that I was talking about earlier. So now, the next part is to basically figure out where I'm going to cut the lower section here to bring it up and join it to the upper section there. Something I noticed is that akin to the protrusion piece that rests on the top of the bumper that I showed earlier, there are these tabs right here. And just with my initial fit up, it looks like that these might actually be in a good spot. So I'm going to try that for starters. That is just about perfect. I basically have those little tabs I just showed you resting on the underside of the bumper cover right here. And when I do that, as it curves down, it is curving down just like a quarter to a half an inch below this edge. So it's coming down just like that, which is great. You know, that's where I wanted it. Serendipity. Don't you just love it when things like this come together without even trying? Okay, well, you may have lost some of that video, unfortunately, but in short, I put the two together, marked it up, make sure I had an even gap or even thickness from this edge, you know, here, 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 here. Make sure from side to side it was a symmetric cut. Scribed it, marked it. And now we're going to put the two together and see how it looks. And you know what? That's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is lay a backing strip along here, a piece that will overlap on the back side between these two pieces across the joint to give it strength and to help me get everything flush. Something like that. All the way across the whole piece, but on the back side. I have some ABS material. I'm going to pull that out and cut the piece that I need. This is worth mentioning. This is a 4x8 sheet of black ABS plastic. I like having ABS around because if you need to make a patch or something like this, ABS is really easy to work with. And you can get this stuff at a local plastic supplier if you have one nearby. It's not very expensive, it's easy to cut, it's easy to form, it's easy to bond. You know, there's a reason ABS gets used for so many things. Interior car panels, motorcycle plastics like on sport bikes are almost always made out of this stuff. Bumper covers, you know, whatever. It's very widely used in the automotive industry because it's tough, cheap, flexible, versatile, good stuff. Get some. Okay, here's a quick shot of the overlap piece added to the bumper cover. This is the upper section, flipped upside down. So you can see how this is going to let me treat this as a lap joint rather than a butt joint by having this material up here. So the lower piece is going to go over this and overlap this. I want to keep this as tall as possible. This may be a little too much because the bottom piece starts curving over pretty aggressively, but I'm going to see how that works out. I may have to do some kerfing, we'll see. But that gives you an idea of what I'm doing. So here is a look at the initial fit up after doing some bonding and riveting and trimming to fit those two pieces together, the upper and the lower. Eye level view will be something about like this when the car is sitting on the ground. At any rate, I think this will work just fine. Now there's a little bit of work to do yet. For example, I had to split the bumper into two pieces here in order for this to follow the curve properly. And so I need to come back and create a patch panel that goes in here. I've already created one that's in here. And then over here on the side, I'll need a piece that completes this shape right here. So I'll trim a piece that follows this curve and then trim it once I have it in there to follow this line coming down. Okay, here we go. This is another fit up test. The upper and lower portions of the bumper have been bonded together, and those end pieces have been added on, and the patch panels that I spoke about. The tan colored stuff is a plastic bond epoxy formulated specifically for plastic to make sure I get good adhesion. And after letting it cure, I picked the bumper up, twisted it around, things like that, and haven't heard cracking or seen any signs of it coming apart. So it feels pretty solid. Now, of course, this still needs to be body worked, but, you know, frankly, that's not something I'm going to bother putting in this video. But basically, it just needs to be sanded flat and body filled around this seam, this area here where the patch panel went in. Same thing over here, this patch panel area. Sanded down, body filled, sanded down to match the upper and lower profiles, which isn't that bad. Actually, the transition from the upper to the lower is pretty good. So I think with a relatively thin layer of body filler, that's going to be just fine. Also got to make sure to get the right stuff to get some plastic body filler, which is something that I haven't been able to find yet locally. But I want to use that instead of regular Bondo to make sure that I don't have flexing and cracking problems later on. Okay, I think that'll do it. So I'm checking comments. So if you have any questions about this video or any of the other videos that I've done, please post a comment or question down below. I'll get back to you either with a response in the comments or perhaps may use it as content in a future video. Thank you for watching.